It's actually been a very good 2 weeks. I think most teams are looking for good physical foundation, some of those connections starting to, show some dividends. Really for those guys to get back into the swing of things with an extended pre-season and make sure they're in the right place to move forward. As far as today's game goes, the main factors, as always, try and get the players through as many minutes as we feel they're capable of at this point without any health issues. We had a little bit of a scare with Randall and his hamstring, which is why he came out. But all in all, I think certainly a good outing in terms of moving on the competitive front.
We're going to open the floor for questions. We're going to kick it off with Tim Sullivan and then Drake and Ben Wright.
Hey, Gary, you mentioned trying to get the team into good physical shape. What is the physical condition of your team? Are you guys kind of approaching the physical shape that you want to be in? And then potentially related, I don't think Shaq played today. At least based on the tweets, it didn't look like Shaq played today. What is his health status and what do you expect for going forward?
I'm happy with where the guys are at this point. They've worked very well, and we've had some hard days, as you could imagine, in the early part of pre-season. I think the balance has been a good one to this point. Guys have stayed healthy, and which basically means they're working day in, day out, rather than any downtime, which normally reap some rewards down the line. A good pre-season base for all players, and it's a bit of a springboard into the main action. So I've been very pleased with the work. Shaq and Walker came back slightly later due to the World Cup, and Walker got 30 minutes just to really create a bit of a stepping stone towards his inclusion in camp coming up this week. So we got him up and running. Shaq's slightly different. He's a different player, he's a different body type. We all felt as though he needed a little bit more time, and will need a little bit more time just to get that explosive body back where it needs to be and not put him at too much risk. So, all in all, the only downside today was to assess Randall and see where he's at.
Drake, go ahead.
Thanks, Chris. Gary, good to see you. Saw that Jacob Schaffelberg obviously coming in his first preseason with you guys after a great end to last year. Saw that he got the knock.
It's frozen.
Hi, Drake. Can you
repeat that? You froze.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was asking about Jacob Schaffelberg and wanting to know what's his ceiling as a full preseason participant for the first time. Any expectation on him leading the line in that spot on the winger? Though you brought in Fafa over the offseason.
Well, listen. A big part of bringing Fafa in was to create some serious competition in those areas. I've been delighted with what I've seen out of Jacob so far. Do I think he can improve? Can he add more goals? Can he add more creative moments and assists? Absolutely. I think the pre-season are doing the world a good just to create a little bit of a better understanding of some of the faces around him. We've looked at one or two slightly different things. Even at this point in pre-season, in possession, we'll certainly work through different phases of the game as pre-season moves on. But I would expect him to be, a real important feature of the group. As we saw, his athleticism and pace and his individual moments can change the course of a game in the blink of an eye. So I think we've got some real good competition and depth in those wide areas now, and that can only obviously drag the very best out of each of the individuals.
Ben, go ahead.
Yeah, Gary, good to talk to you again. Sorry, you'll probably hear my kids running around in the background, so just a heads up. But I was wondering if we saw Dave, obviously, who's been a huge part of the club, leave this offseason. What's your assessment of kind of the center back position as it stands? And then kind of related, it looks like Alex started at right back in a back four. Without maybe a natural right back other than Shaq in the squad, is that something you're comfortable with? Having Alex there, I think we've seen him mostly in a back five. How do you feel about him playing in a back four?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what we did last pre-season, we looked at Alex in a potential right wing back position, and he ended up starting the season for us there and did a very, very good job for us. Alex is one of those players that is able to adapt. He's an intelligent lad. He's got so many good attributes that allow him to fit into, multiple different slots. So I wanted to see him there. We've added Lawrence Wyke, who's played that position at Tampa Bay. And I want to see if those guys, should we need it, be able to fulfill that role. And obviously to what degree. There's they certainly can play there, but what are we going to get out of them, and what does that look like? So this is as ideal a time to do that as any. Unfortunately, with Randall's injury early in the game, I obviously moved Alex into that midfield slot, but we'll get plenty of time to see Alex there, and I've got to be honest, he's warmed to it as well as he did in that wing back spot. So I would think over a period of time we'll see him improve and hopefully be someone we could rely on at some point there. As far as the centre-backs go, you're absolutely right. I mean, Dave has been absolutely fantastic for us for 3 years. A cornerstone of our back line and a great guy as well. But there are moments in everyone's career and in the club's evolution that things come together, deals come together that can benefit both parties. When that happens, everyone walks away with a smile on their face. And for Dave, I think it's meant, a better contract and hopefully the future that he wanted to see. For us, it was an opportunity economically to add something to the allocation pot, knowing that we have a very good young centre-back in Jack Mayer coming through. Is it his time to step into that void? I think there's as good a chance as any for Jack right now to be able to do that. But I think the addition of Nick Dupay has been a really good one as well. And Nick's just carrying a little bit of soreness and he hasn't been involved today. But if you look at what Nick's achieved, what he represents, some of the qualities Nick has, I think that back line looks as competitive as it has done without Dave, and that's all due respect to him, but we all move on, and I'm delighted with those three guys, for the most part, to be competing for that spot.
We got time for 2 more questions. Claudio, go ahead, and then Tim, take us home.
Silent, Claudio. You're on mute, Claudio.
Claudio, we cannot hear you, so Tim, go ahead with your question. In the
He's back.
There
He's
you
back.
go.
Am I here?
Claudio,
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay. Coach, I was just going to say, thank you, Christina. In case you needed any more motivation for this beginning of the season, I'm hoping that the Arsenal position on the Premiership is something that's going to help you get over the start of the season. First thing, just a comment. But then I was curious about this. One of the main things that you talked about last season was the fatigue of traveling so far, the Western Conference, and that really was a drawback in the performance of the team at the time. Do you expect that to be better, even though you're already playing the East for this year?
Look, I truly think we're back where we belong. It makes absolute sense, us being in the Eastern Conference where we're situated. There is no doubt in my mind that the travel at certain points in the year, especially with that very tough opening 8 games, had an effect on the group. What we know is that both conferences are incredibly competitive, and we're certainly not coming back into an Eastern Conference that's going to be any easier on the field. What it might mean is we get a slightly better schedule, that fatigue that can sometimes set in throughout the season. I'm hoping will be helpful, but I think what we've learned and the experience that we can take from last year is an enormously positive one, that we get put into the Western Conference with all of the challenges that we faced, and we still performed at a very high level. And to that degree, it can only be beneficial and helpful to the confidence in the group.
Team, take us home.
Hey Gary, you mentioned a little bit about Nick DePuy there, but I wanted to ask you kind of in general about some of the guys that are new to the club. What have you seen out of him, Lawrence? We even got like Fafa that we've all seen in the league, but maybe not with your club yet. What have you seen about some of the new signings that are going to contribute to the club this year?
Yeah, a little bit difficult with Nick, because I said he's been sore from some of the work, and we didn't want to take a big chance with such a long, tough pre-season. But I've seen quite a bit of him. I've no doubt he'll be a real good addition to this group. Fafa, as you might expect, is an explosive wide player, has been very eye-catching and has looked very bright early on in pre-season. So really, really pleased with his addition. A little bit more difficult for Lawrence, I think, as a defender, and maybe slotting into a position in a back four that has been very, very successful over the last 3 years. There's some big shoes to fill when he is on the field. It may take him a little bit longer just to settle in and to make his mark. But we've had some good showings from some of the younger players as well. Young Sipic is here with us from the academy, and I've got to say he looks certainly one of the brightest prospects that we've ever had in our academy, and has settled in brilliantly with the senior group at the age of 16. So it's very, very nice to see some of this hard work that's going on in our academy and through the young recruitment starting to pay some dividends as well. Lots to look forward to with the Huntsville group starting. We've had the staff in and around us to try and build some bonds there. So a real good start, and other than some difficulties here today that you would always expect against New York, and a very tough surface this time of the year, and we're back in the swing of things. Some officiating that I wasn't very happy with, so we get going once again.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate you taking the time. We'll look forward to seeing you on Tuesday again. Thank you, everybody, and see you on Tuesday afternoon.